Hello there, I'm Leo Warder for Kit Guru, and this case is the NZXT H440 New Edition. Differences between this version and the previous H440, which at a guess would be NZXT's most popular enthusiast case, are all matte black colour, scratch resistant paintwork, a tinted black window, they say black, I say smoked, and there's an option of having one that's got no windows, so plain panels, increased height and depth with better ventilation for better airflow, and a PWM fan hub, which is actually something that we've seen before with the N450 Noctis. Now the Noctis is built on the H440, the previous version, and had the pent roof, sort of pitch roof design, so you could put liquid cooling in the top, loads of ventilation and such like, and also had an angled front. So this is the H440 New Edition, which is a revised version of H440. To my mind, what it actually is, it's the N450, but without the angular top and without the angular front. Let's just turn this on. There we go. And let's just show you what it looks like inside as it lights up. And then if I just toggle this little switch at the back, we can hopefully see that there's illumination in the power supply cover. And there's also, as it happens, an LED on the back panel. And you can see obviously the graphics card and the NZXT logo on the Kraken X61 liquid cooler. Let's turn that off and pull the power cord. So what we've got, I'll just take off the back panel because that covers all manner of things. And there is the PWM hub in the center. It's pretty much what you'd expect. So you have a bunch of connections, you have an extension cable in the event you want to hook up something like a liquid cooler or a CPU cooler that doesn't have a very long cable. That's clever. And you have power for it. It's powered by a 4-pin Molex connector. This back panel, it caused me actually a little bit of alarm. It's a regular steel panel, 2 captive thumb screws. It's got this sort of rubberized neoprene type material in it, obviously for sound deadening, and it's also in the front and the top panels, and that's all absolutely fine. You'll note that it's not very well stuck down, and also it's got some marks in it. I took a photo for the Kit Guru webpage, which attempts to show those marks. I mean, trying to show some marks in some black on black is a fairly hopeless cause. The thing is, as far as I can see, those marks are caused by the PWM hub. They were there from the moment I received the case. So what it's saying to me is, I mean, you can see by eye, it's pretty much flush. There is not a lot of space. You add on the thickness of that material and you're going to get interference, which suggests someone hasn't really thought it through too well. That's a crying shame, because cosmetically this case is superb. The structure of every NZXT case I've seen in recent times, there are sometimes some niggles about it could be a little bit taller or some such, but the idea that you whack in a piece of hardware on the back and then you put in some foam and you don't think, oh, well, that's going this way, that's going that way, we now have negative clearance. Not so clever. Plus, of course, the foam is a telltale. It shows that there's something going on. So in this case, in this instance, it would be handy if we had an extra 5 or 10 mil of clearance, because clearly something has to give. Anyway, back to the hardware. So at the front, and I have to say, the front panel and the top panel, I love them to bits. Cosmetically, they are really cutesy. They simply pull off like so. Like so, heavy. Sound deadening material there, it's hefty. It's actually sort of a sandwich. This panel is sort of an inlay and it's held on with little wire clips. They're not intended to come off. You sort of have to bend out the tags and put it apart. The point is, it's sort of constructed, and you've got mesh intakes on the one side, which is cutesy. Nice, solid. Behind that we have a dust filter, and then we have 3 120 fans. Pull off the top panel. Again, same thing, foam on the inside and all the rest of it, and you'll note that the I/O remains with the case, which we like. And then what you actually have is a fairly conventional looking case, which is no bad thing. Now, I've put in the Kraken X61 liquid cooler, which is a 280. You can go for 3 120s or 2 140s, so obviously the 280 is 2 140s. You could, if you choose, replace the front fans with a cooler as well. Now, the drive bays down here, they're held in with thumb screws. You can take them out, but this panel is riveted in place, and that's sort of like the infrastructure for those slide-in caddies mounts. So this is fixed, the power supply cover is fixed. They made a feature of it by illuminating it, which is quite nice, and then you've got the two SSD bays on top. So that makes perfect sense. They've also, by adding that illuminated NZXT logo, they've kind of broken up the flow of it, so it's not just flat angle, it's more cutesy than that. But the drive bays at the front, I do wish that you had the option of removing that tower. If you're not going to use the bays for whatever reason, then you don't need this piece of tinware. If you don't need the piece of tinware, then it's just in your way. You'll note that I have the liquid cooler with the hoses at the rear. Reason for that is that I left the bays in place. If you take out bays, then you can put the cooler in with the hoses the other way around, and then they just fold, sort of flex down this way. That works, but it's one of those you have to make your decisions about what you're going to do. So I've gone for the way I have, which probably isn't the brightest move. It is better with the hoses at the front, because as things stand, it's all a bit close for comfort at the rear. That was my bad. Obviously, functionally, it makes absolutely zilch difference. Overall, it works well, but going back to that side panel, the rubber not being glued on correctly, I mean, I presume it's just some double-sided tape or some sort they've used, possibly spray adhesive. I mean, it's nothing too great, but that's the lack of clearance, which I'm guessing is what's actually pulled it, because it's gone on, stuck in the middle, and then it's pulled the top and the bottom. It's a similar thing with this case. From the outside, I mean, it is solid. It is actually a really good-looking set of panels on this case. Once you get to the steel structure, I have this sort of habit, it's a bad habit of mine. When I pull a case apart and I'm just carting it around, I very often lift up by whatever is available at the top of the case. Obviously, as I got the radiator there now, that's not possible, I wouldn't do it. But when I was building the thing, you had these sort of straps across, and I went for them, I thought, no, it's really thin, lightweight. Now, they're only bracing straps, so they don't need to have any strength. But when something looks like a handle, I might use it as a handle. In this instance, nah, not a good idea. Once you pull off the funky panels, you're left with a fairly conventional case that's built to a perfectly adequate standard. But there's nothing mind-blowing about the actual basic structure. What they've done by enhancing it with the new H440 panels and such like, very, very good indeed, like a lot. Obviously, the fact you've got the 320 fans at the front means you're hardly going to change those for your liquid cooler. It's going to go in the top, which was exactly the thinking with the Noctis. Give you that pitch roof, give you the space, the air can kind of come out through baffling. In this instance, they've gone for a flat version of the same. It works very well, I like it a lot, and it means you could actually put something on the top like your games controller, which with the pitch roof you can't do. So in that sense, the H440 New Edition is more practical than the Noctis. I like this kind of the funky styling of the Noctis. This is more sensible and I like it. I prefer it. Things like these rear grommets are sort of a telltale for me. They are just a throwback to external liquid coolers from a million years ago. No one uses them these days. If you do use them, you have to feed hoses through. You know, if you're going to do it, at least have the thing split to the side so you can actually put a thing in and then lay a cooler on the top. The fact that those are just grommets in the back, it's sort of old school thinking. It's in irrelevance. It's a trivial point. I mean, it just doesn't matter. But they're useless, literally useless in this day and age. Similarly, the business with the 4-pin feed to the lighting system and the PWM hub and such like, the Molex connector. Why not SATA? It's so many power supplies these days are SATA only. I mean, all you have to add on a modular cable to do your Molex, because you don't have anything Molex in your system anymore. So SATA, please. Minor point, very minor point that. On the other hand, the big stuff is good. You know, you've got here a massive, great big cutout of your motherboard, on the back of your motherboard to put your cooler in, and that's a very good thing indeed. When I was building the system, this tiddly little controller up here, which is for the lighting system, and then down there the PWM hub, all the cabling around about, it's all held in place with twisty ties. About 10, you know, and had to remove those and replace them with zip ties to do a proper job. And it ties it all up quite nicely. I mean, the crack and cabling is a little bit messy because that's kind of the nature of it. But the system worked out well. One thing I will say for NZXT is the number of tie-down points, the anchor points for your cable ties, they have put dozens of the things in. They've done a brilliant job, absolutely epic. And they've also included a load of cable ties with the accessory pack. Very good indeed. The setup book is your average thing. It's perfectly acceptable. It's multilingual, so you do have to kind of take a bit of time with it, but it's color coordinated and such like, works very well. The fasteners, you get an accessory pack. Each of the bags, it gives you the dimensions of them, which you can then refer to the book to see what they should do. It doesn't actually say on each of the pack, you know, motherboard or whatever, but it's a trivial detail. Works well. So, what do I think of the H440 new edition, which is incidentally a penny under £90, and therefore it's in mainstream enthusiast territory. It's not brutally expensive, it is certainly not cheap. What I think is this: it's an improvement for sure over the previous H440 in subtle ways, because cosmetically it is a peach. The underlying structure quite clearly could do with a bit more here and a bit more there. It's just a bit tight for comfort in certain dimensions. In terms of the vertical height, it's a bit close for comfort, but really, if we had the option of removing that drive tower, I think that would help hugely, because then you'd have the option of putting different cooler in the front or routing things differently. If you hark back to, I think it was the S3440, but could be incorrect, they had that sort of stealth panel where you could just shimmy the cables in behind it. It was a really neat little trick. There's nothing like that going on here. This is a very conventional setup, which kind of reminds me of a thing from a few years ago. Everything's solid, nothing wrong, nothing wow in your face. It's okay. The addition of the PWM hub is obviously good. The lighting I like, the power supply cover, great. The 3 fans on the front, and all good stuff. Good, solid case. The cosmetics of the new panels, absolutely excellent. On the other hand, the lack of clearance for the PWM hub against that rubber, silly. Case needs to be wider, but that of course would require a little bit of re-engineering, and I guess they haven't gone to that extent. So overall, I like the H440 new edition a great deal, but it very much feels like they've enhanced an existing design. Well, they have enhanced an existing design, but it's a design that could do with a more radical overhaul. Nothing too dramatic, just, yes, it's time for a change, folks. As things stand, this is a good case. I like it. There is room for improvement, however. This is Leo Warder for Kit Guru. This is the NZXT H440 new edition.